Hello,
Yeah,
everyone. Welcome to the Bright Click chat. Got a different Matt with us today, Matthew Morris, who's our resident SEO expert. We just want to chat a little bit today about SEO in general, how it works, kind of why Matthew loves words so much and
mm,
all of that kind of great stuff. So, without further ado, let's talk about it. So, in terms of SEO, Matt, in general, obviously you've been at the Bright. How long have you been with us now at the Bright Click? It's been a year
it
now,
was
isn't it? Or
January last year. I started, I think, like the last day in January. So yeah, just over a
nice,
year. Mm.
cool, yeah. And have you always worked in SEO? Is it always something you've been interested in?
No, it's. I didn't know about SEO until I got a job doing SEO, which it
Nice.
was really strange. I was doing something completely different, and I was kind of looking to change career a bit, or just looking what was out there. I always liked writing, so I was kind of seeing what jobs you could do that involved writing, and I had kind of my CV on Indeed and the kind of other job sites. And to be honest, I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just kind of, where you could do like the one-click apply, wasn't sending cover letters or anything like that, just
Yeah.
kind of sending it out there and then seeing what came back. And then all of a sudden one day I had a reply and they were kind of asking me to write to write a little piece about SEO, which I had never heard of, never knew anything about it. And so yeah, so I wrote that up, and I actually asked Jacob, who former employee of the Bright Click,
Mm.
to help me. And I was kind of like, what is this SEO thing that they're asking me to write about? I have no idea what's going on. And yeah, so I wrote that, and then I kind of got the job. And yeah, my first day it was like, right, you're doing SEO now, and I still didn't really know what it was. And this was probably August 2021. So
Yeah.
about a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago. And yeah, then I just kind of learned it from there. I was working under the SEO kind of manager there, and he was just kind of telling me what to do. It was really focused on kind of writing content to begin with,
Mm.
and then kind of learnt the other bits. And yeah, before I knew it, I was coming over to the Bright Click and yeah,
Yeah.
learning a lot more then, because it was kind of
Absolutely.
up to me to do it all and kind of plan it all and manage the
Mm.
clients myself. So it's been a really kind of steep learning curve, but it's yeah, it's been really good. And
Cool.
yeah, it really strange, complete career change, but yeah,
That's
I
great.
liked it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. So, I think in terms of what SEO is and exactly, we'll definitely do some more granular detail type videos, you and I think, where we really drill into key phrases and search terms and all that kind of stuff, and low hanging fruit and all of that, all those great buzzwords that I hear you talking about in meetings, and I'm always
Yeah.
like, wow, that's really really cool. I often get asked by clients, we want to do SEO, we kind of know what it is, we think it's something to do with, oh, we're going to appear higher on Google. Is that right? And broadly speaking, yeah. But if
Mm.
you could kind of give a kind of, I guess, a simple overview of exactly, I guess, what search engine optimization is, and what it is you do broadly for clients, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it is a hard thing to explain SEO because it's really kind of yeah, to nail it down, because there is a kind of lot of aspects to it, but I think you nailed it there where you kind of said about it is about the rankings and about learning what makes Google tick, really. I always find a nice way to explain SEO is to start by kind of thinking about what Google is. And Google is just a piece of software, or any search engine really, because yeah, but Google obviously the main one. But yeah, it's a piece of software where it kind of provides answers or information to any search within milliseconds. That's what Google does, and it's so popular because it does it very well. The
Yeah.
sites that Google shows you have been crawled and assessed by Google many times, so they know the information you wanted. If you wanted to buy a pasta maker, for example, I don't know why that's coming to my head, but yeah, you could
Why
type
not?
in pasta maker, yeah, and you would have millions of results and the
Yeah.
top ones on the top page would be the ones that Google thinks are the best for you. So the way Google does that is by sending out things called crawlers. So these crawlers go out to millions and millions of web pages every day, and they assess the pages, work out how kind of secure they are, how user friendly they are, how technically sound they are. And that is what they base these rankings on. And where SEO comes into this is that these crawlers, they aren't human. They can't look at a page and say, I like that, or this, makes me feel this certain way. So the way they judge these pages is through algorithms, and they have kind of certain algorithms which make them go, yep, let's push this up the rankings, let's drop this down the rankings. And that's where SEO comes in. Our job is to learn what these crawlers want to see to push pages up the rankings. So it could be, there's kind of three aspects to SEO. There's on-page SEO, which is your content, your kind of H1 tags and your headings and things like that, and how quick your site is and bits like that. There's off-page SEO, backlinks, building authority through bits like that. And then there's technical SEO, which is how kind of technically sound your site is and how optimized it is in that regard. So it assesses on these three things. And yeah, as an SEO, we learn the algorithms, or try to learn the algorithms. They're constantly changing, so we try and stay on top of them.
That's interesting. So essentially, you're telling me you've got almost like a big list, which kind of almost says, right, this is currently how these crawlers are assessing web pages, and unless you kind of meet this criteria, you're going to appear lower down on the pages. And your job, I guess, is to make sure that a new client has all of these kind of things ticked, but then also that you have your finger on the pulse in terms of what's changing and how it's changing. And I guess having to go back and evolve what you've already done for clients, which I suppose is why I hear you often say it's kind of a never-ending piece in a way. It's not like you reach 100% completion and then that's it. You never have to worry about SEO again, because things are always changing and other people are improving their websites as well. You're having to constantly evolve what you're doing.
That's it. Yeah, you kind of have major core updates. There might be a couple every year where Google actually announces, it says, we are going to, over the course of the next few weeks, we are changing kind of the algorithms and bits like that. But yeah, it's constantly changing. You have to constantly be on top of it, checking your rankings. And it's a really good point you made about competitors, because you are kind of just going up against other SEOs who have different websites. So if you see one kind of climbing all of a sudden, and all of a sudden they're taking all your keywords, or their organic traffic's flying, then it's a case of going, what are they doing different to what I'm doing? Because something's changed. And yeah, it's about kind of keeping on top of it and trying to keep your finger on the pulse and know what's working and what's not.
Okay, great. So, I mean, I was going to ask you, I guess, why it's important for businesses, but I guess you've kind of already answered that. It's important because you want to stand up higher than your competitors, and to do that, you need to be constantly evolving your techniques. With all these nice big lists, that you kind of work through, and then also seeing what other people are doing in a good way and replicating that in your own way, as well as using, I guess, proactive techniques to try and get yourself appearing above your competitors. I mean, without putting you on the spot in terms of stats or anything, I'm presuming the higher you appear on Google, absolutely the more likely you're going to get clicks. I mean, I know that sounds like a really obvious thing to say. The higher you appear, the more chance you're going to get a click. Is that definitely the case? Is there not a case sometimes where users just go, well, you know what, I'm going to keep scrolling and I'm going to keep scrolling and I'm going to keep scrolling? Or is it literally as simple as that? The higher you appear, the more clicks you get.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think that's the main reason SEO is so important, is because if you think about how many times you kind of use Google every day, like if you jotted down every time you used Google, I think it would surprise you how many times, like at the end of the day, you had.
That's a really good point. I've never thought about it like that, and
Yeah,
I've probably used it around 5 to 10 times already so far today without even realizing.
yeah, and then I always think if you had that, so like you say, 5 or 10 times, if you jotted down every time you clicked on a link that was maybe in the bottom half of page one or lower, it would maybe be 1 time, 2 times maybe.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you're
it,
absolutely right.
and if you go on to page two, then like it would probably be 0 times you've actually gone to page two. It's always kind of page one, top half of page one. I don't know the exact statistics, but I'm pretty sure it's maybe like 50, 60% of
Wow,
if you're at number one, which is
wow, that's
massive.
great. Yeah,
But, and
huge.
it's because when people go on Google, they trust that it's showing them the best results at the top. So it's like people trust that's the one for them, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely kind of getting in the top. I mean, it used to be top 10 on each kind of search page. So you had 10 results on each. So if you're in the top 10, page one, it's very different now because you have so many kind of different features on Google. So you have
Hmm.
your Google ads, you can have your frequently asked questions and bits like that. So in some cases, it could be 5 or 6 search results on page
Yeah,
one. So it's getting harder and harder. You know, you really have to be up there fighting for these spots. But
absolutely.
yeah, it's yeah, that's it, and that's why it's so important. Kind of keeping on top of it. 'Cause like you say, if you might be position number 10 from 20 million results, and you think that sounds great, but if that puts you on page two, then you're probably not going to get any clicks.
100%. Yeah, exactly. The way you put that is quite alarming, really. So I guess we've spoken about, kind of what it is, or what it is you do, and that clearly we've seen why it's important to do it, and kind of what you've spoken about there. And I suppose anybody listening to this will agree with it because they would have searched, right? And they would know that, yeah, it is always the top couple of results that you click on. It's never on page two and stuff like that. So presumably I'm a client and I'm like, wow, I absolutely have to get working on my SEO. I clearly need to be standing above my competitors and stuff like that. I guess where do we start? If a client kind of comes to us as the bright pick and says, okay, you sold it to me. I need to do this. I understand I need to do this. Where the hell do I start? What do I do?
I think the first step is kind of speaking with the client and kind of asking them, what do you want to rank for? What keywords do you really want to kind of be fighting for? Because with that information, we can go away and kind of build a list of keywords because not all keywords work for the business. So, an example, keywords change all the time, and search intent is a massive. My Alexa's just talking to me. Search intent is search intent's a massive thing. So that's basically what is showing up on page one of Google. So if you search Big Apple, if you were trying to sell big apples, you probably wouldn't show up on page one because it would all be things about New York.
Of
So
course.
recently, if you had a blog about King Charles dogs and you searched King Charles, it would be very different now because there is a King Charles. So that would be what was on page one. So it's about kind of looking at the keywords and going, these are the ones where firstly the intent is right for your business, whether
Yeah,
it's informational, transactional, and then yeah, working with that, and also looking at the keywords and going, if you're started a brand new website with very low authority, then you don't want to go up against Amazon and kind of eBay and stuff like that. These massive websites. It's about picking your battles, right, and finding low hanging fruit, which we mentioned earlier. So going, this keyword, so you might not rank for uh, pasta maker, let's say again,
hmm,
but you might be able to rank for what we call a long tail keyword. So if you wrote a blog saying, what are the 5 benefits of using pasta makers? Then you might start ranking for something like benefits of using pasta makers. And then you get clicks in like that.
sure,
And all the while, you're kind of building up to rank for the main one, pasta makers. So yeah,
absolutely.
that's kind of one of the first things we'll do, keyword research. We'll make a list of keywords and kind of work out how we really want to target them, whether we want to use kind of landing pages, service pages. We'll have ones that we want to write blogs about to go for them. And then after that, the kind of second thing I always start with is the kind of site health. We'll run a site scan and just make sure everything's in order. I always say to anyone who kind of wants one tip of like how to do SEO, I always think do the basics right.
Yeah.
I think if you do that, you're halfway there. The basics being you kind of site health, make sure all your pages are got the like H1 should only have H1 on each page, only one of them. Get that right. Get your keyword in your kind of URLs, your meta titles. Get the keyword in your H1. Make sure your site's fast. Make sure it's all linking together nicely. Kind of get the base right. If you have the base right, it's like building a house. Kind of if you built a house but the base wasn't right, it's going to come crumbling down at some point. So get a solid kind of site health, solid base, and then kind of build from that. And I think that's the best way to start it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. Yeah, so identifying those kind of where they're at in terms of where the client's at in terms of basics, and then kind of building up from there. So right, we're going to do some keyword research. We're going to analyze how your website is currently running, and look at all of your headings and stuff like that. We're going to get all of those sorted in the first instance, and then we're going to start getting into the nittier grittier kind of SEO piece on how we start appearing much higher for those kind of keywords, which there's lots of searches for, but not a lot of competition for. So let's get you appearing up them, and then the other stuff will kind of come with that as well.
Yeah. That's it. It's a long game going for these kind of the main keywords that are very competitive, and yeah, you have to kind of build it up. But yeah, once we get the kind of beginning bits out of the way, then it's kind of a case of right, let's get this content going. Let's build some content. Let's work all the content into these keywords. Make sure it's kind of helping. Let's get building some backlinks, and just kind of keep growing and growing the site and the authority of the site. And what you want is then when a crawler comes into your site and it goes, wow, we're looking to rank these for a term. I can see they've got 20 blogs about it already. I can see they've got loads of websites linking to them. These guys must be legit. They know what they're talking about. They're a good source of information. So let's kind of start pushing them up the rankings. So
Great.
That's the aim.
Excellent. No, that's brilliant. And I guess a bit more of a fun kind of note. What makes you tick? What do you enjoy? I mean, I know you're an SEO expert, and we love having you on the team for kind of that reason. There are elements of my job that that are much harder than others, but there are elements of my job which I really, really enjoy. What is it about SEO that you enjoy the most?
That's a good question. I think kind of deep down, I'm quietly kind of competitive, and I think SEO is great to kind of fuel a competitive nature, because every morning I can come in and be like, oh, I've jumped up 5 pages for that one. And there might be a website that has been beating you all year, and it's been really annoying you that you can't kind of overtake this website. And then one day you kind of come in and you're like, whoa, I'm number 1 and they're number 2 now. And it's really kind of exhilarating watching keywords change. I mean, they change it every day. If you kind of think, I'm going to write a blog because I want to rank for how to do SEO. And I mean, that would be an incredibly hard blog to rank, but just for this example, and then you write that blog, and then maybe a month later, you can kind of Google how to do SEO, and then all of a sudden you see your blog there, like on page 1. Then it's great. And it's really funny. Like, I was writing a blog, and then I tried to do some research to write this blog, and another blog that I had written kind of came up while I was doing my research, and I completely forgot about this other blog. And it's like, oh, that's cool. That one's actually started ranking now. So it's
yeah. And I suppose it works in the opposite way as well. Sometimes you can come in one morning and notice that you've dropped certain levels, and that's where that kind of constant evolving and comes in, because then it's right. I need to really try
Yeah,
and push this back up in these kind of areas. So yeah, I guess it's almost spinning plates, isn't it? You've got lots of
yeah,
different kind of keywords and search that, long tail search terms, as you call them, on the go at any one time, and you're constantly trying to make sure that they're staying up there.
yeah. That's it. And a lot of it is kind of problem solving. Like say, if you come in one day and all of a sudden you've dropped 10 places, then you can kind of look at it and go, well, why has that happened? So you can look at your competitors and see what they've been doing, or you can look at your own site. And a lot of it can be trial and error. You can kind of go, well, if I change this, will that affect how I'm ranking? And it might not. And then you might try something else and it might not. But then you might do one thing and then all of a sudden you're kind of back up there. And you're like,
Yeah,
so that was why I was kind of ranking down there. And it's nice because it is a kind of long build. So it's nice to see. It might take, in some cases, 6 months to really kind of start seeing like real results. So when they do start coming through and you can see like 6 months of work, it might be 20, 25, 30 blogs that you've written, and all of a sudden they start to kind of bear fruit really. So it's
yeah,
yeah, it's really good. I think that's what I like about it. Yeah, it kind of lets me be competitive and also it lets me be creative. You know, I love writing, and a big
yeah,
part of it is kind of getting content out there, getting blogs out there, and yeah, it's really good to research, and you also kind of see other people's blogs and that are ranking number one, and you think, yeah, they've absolutely nailed that. You know, you can
yeah,
see what they've done to get there. So it's
yeah.
really yeah, it's
For,
really
forever,
it's really interesting.
forever learning. Yeah, forever learning on the job. Well, thanks so much, Matt. I've really enjoyed chatting to you about it. And yeah, I'll definitely go into some more kind of granular pieces. I think that would really be really
Yeah,
great from an SEO piece. And yeah, you've heard it here first. Dude. Get in there, get in there now, get it done early, start getting ranking. It's a bit of a long game. But it's clearly so important. So yeah, thank you
yeah.
so much, Matt, and
No,
speak to
thank
you next
you.
time. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, if you found this video helpful, then drop us a line. We're always open for a chat, a video call, even a meet up in person, which seems to be unheard of these days. But yeah, we'd love to have more of a chat with you about all of your marketing needs and strategies and all that great stuff. Cheers.